Hi and welcome. Beautiful Forever University is very proud to be here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in the heat. But Dr. Shino Bay is absolutely worth it. And I am very proud to be here to discuss the male market and what is going on in the industry. There's lots of questions. Please ask us your questions, your comments. Go on to Beautiful Forever and follow us. You go to a little tiny button that says notifications within the Beautiful Forever, and you'll be notified every time that we're live. So I'm here to introduce Dr. Shino Bay. He's a board-certified dermatologist and a friend, and very well-respected doctor in the area. Both has men and women patients. And I'll start by asking Dr. Shino Bay, who is also the author of Be Youthful. And I think you can get it on Amazon.
Yeah, correct. Amazon.
Or you can come into his Fort Lauderdale office in Las Olas, and you can pick up a copy here, and you can meet him, get a consult. And one of my favorite restaurants, by the way, is across the street, Yolo's.
Yolo, yeah.
So you can go to Yolo's and have lunch. So you can make a whole beauty day at Dr. Shino Bay's. So we're going to be talking today about being youthful for men and the men's market. And why is it so difficult for so many of the practices to really delve into the men's market and be able to focus on men? Men are not interested, especially gay men, they're not interested in focusing on beauty. They just want anti-aging. They want to look better, they want to look younger, and they want to feel good. So I guess what I want you to talk to the audience about is what are you doing to attract men in and keeping them and retaining them? Because patients notoriously, men patients, are better across the board than women and much more loyal. Tell us what you're seeing with the men's patients.
So, I mean, across the country, what we see, and these are just statistics that I'm going to throw out to you guys out there, they said that 43% of men in the United States are bothered by the way they look or their appearance. But that's a big number. Right. But only 10% of those men are doing cosmetic procedures. So what is the rest of the population are doing? Well, I think when it comes to men, you have to reach out to them. And very little work until now. I mean, this year is the year of the male aesthetic, market. Everybody is trying to do something. All the people in the industry, from Galderma Allergan, they're trying to reach out because the focus before was just females, right? But men do care about what they look like, but they have different concerns. They're a lot more different than women. So in our practice, what we do is, we're trying to, we don't cater 100% to men, but in each room we have TVs, and we're now putting on the loop things about men. It may not be a man that is there, it may be a female that's getting a procedure, but then they look at, that we do neograph, and they say, well, oh my God, this could be beneficial for my husband. He's so concerned about hair loss, or it bothers him, but they can, a female can tell when their partner, they're concerned about hair loss, and they start the conversation, and then usually they bring them here, and then you start with the neograph, and then it translates into other things.
But it's very interesting because most of the time it starts with the women bringing the men in. They always say a man has to see himself in a photograph, or a woman has to tell him, but it takes him a long time to make the effort, to make the appointment to come in. Men are shopping more now than they ever did before. The younger men, it's very interesting, the yummy group, are in their 30s. We can call you that, even though you might be 31. But basically, the truth is that the yummy, urban yummy men are really starting to care about the way that they look. They're interested in status. And then we look at I can't believe it's 20-something years old, the word metrosexual, because that seemed like it was a new thing years ago, but it's over 20 years now. But, there's still those men that are working longer. Mm-hmm. But, when you do marketing, are you marketing directly to the men's market? Are you actually sending out emails or having men's nights? Do anything specific to get men, or is it really the women you feel that are bringing the men in to your business?
Well, we have tried a lot of that. We're trying to have like a caveman day, or you're trying to do Fridays to be for male, but it never works out that way, right? Okay. It's just to you hear from other people as you try to keep the males apart with the females, they feel more comfortable. But it sounds great in theory, but in reality it never works out that way. So from time to time we do on social media put advertising that we're going to have a special for men, and we call that maybe like bro talks or boy talks and things like that. But usually it never attracts as much as we would think, right? So I think for the most part, men either are that come here, they're searching themselves,
Okay.
you know, without any help, or the majority of my patients, their partner, females, wives, you know, girlfriend, they're bringing them here. Usually around Father's Day is a good time to
Right.
bring it. You know, they buy a package for laser hair removal. They buy a package for neurotoxins, Botox, Dysport for the crow's feet.
Are you selling a lot of gift certificates? Or, you know, are you thinking that, you know, gift certificates to sell to the women would be great to bring the men in?
Exactly, definitely that's the way it goes. So a female is here and then they live with their man at home, so they know what their concerns are. So a gift certificate is a great idea, and having special like Father's Day special, Christmas, any kind of special where you can promote this gift certificate will definitely help any practice.
And then, you know, what's a huge market, and you have Wilton Manors, you have Fort Lauderdale, you have huge areas here of gay men who all want to look amazing, they want to look great, they want to look young, and they have a lot of disposable income because they don't have a household with 5 children. So how do you feel that it would be best to get that group in here, and what do you feel you can do, or what have you tried to do? Because it is new, and we're just playing with it right now, you know, advertising in the gay magazines in the gay areas. Some doctors are very paranoid and said, well, if I advertise there, they'll think that's all the truth is, you can advertise anywhere, and people who are reading it are going to be that audience, and they're going to come in.
Right.
So how do you feel about that marketplace?
Well, when it comes to it depends which magazine you advertise. I chose not to advertise in gay magazine because sometimes, you know, I will open one of those magazines and there's men soliciting and prostitution, things like that. So for my brand.
Okay.
For the sake of my brand, I didn't want to be in those type of magazines. So I try to do the local magazines that is just it includes everyone, not just cater to them. But I know some of my friends that they do that and they do it really, really well. Because I mean, people need to know what you do and the type of procedures you offer. But I mean, basically, you know, even though I don't advertise a lot for men, I mean, my practice, I would say we're like 20-25%. We have males here and maybe 30%, which is just by word of mouth. And again, they're female counterparts trying to bring them in.
Yeah, and that's very typical. I mean, I wonder if we had a men's cocktail party, you know, for men only, or we did something even at YOLO's across the street, and we had some sort of event, if that would draw the men in. Or maybe it has to be something around sports. There's a lot of men very interested in sports. Maybe we get a sports figure, a sports authority, you know, somebody to come and to speak that they can meet and greet and do book signings or do signings. Maybe, I mean, these are ideas we can talk about, but it really is the future of the industry. We're looking at 2 to 3 times at least the growth for men. Not only the 30-year-olds, but now the older men who are in the marketplace, who have to stay longer. In my book that I've promoted, Beautifully Profitable, that you can also get on Amazon.
By the way.
Oh, thank you. Have you read it?
Yeah, like a few pages of what I've read is fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I just got it like last week. Or
yeah, maybe in Las Vegas at the Aesthetic Show when there was a whole day on the men's market. And we're happy to take questions live. And so if we can see the questions, we can answer them. But how do we educate our patients and the public? I think one of the ways, and you can answer as well, is the grassroots, starting local. I always say to start within a 5-mile radius of your business. People call us up every day of the week as consultants and say, I want to go national. I want to go international. I said, okay, let's start within 5 miles of your own practice and get everybody to know you. Then you can expand further out. And I think getting people to know in the local area, and I've noticed that, you know, waiting outside, that you have a beautiful office, a great waiting room, very attentive staff. The customer service is also very important. People want to be catered to. And not only men, but anybody who comes in, they want to feel special. And I did feel that way when I walked in. Your staff knew that I was coming in. They greeted me. They were very friendly. They took me in the back. And I think that that has a lot to do with it. And it starts with you. I mean, it starts with you, and it starts at the top. Because if you start that precedent, and I know you have very good management as well, but it starts with your attitude and your personality. You also have a very unique way about you, a very spiritual, very calming way. And, you know, we were talking before this broadcast about how do you keep patients calm? There's so many people out there that are just not happy with themselves, or just not happy people. And, you know, they think that getting a non-invasive procedure is going to make them happy. Well, I think Dr. Stephen Diane did do a study on Botox, and if you got Botox, then you didn't need your antidepressants anymore. I don't know. Steve, we'll have to look at your study again, but I think it's because I think maybe like almost a little psychosomatic where you know you're going to look better, so you feel better. Right. So how do you calm your patients? How do you keep them happy? How do you retain them? Because I see you have a huge retention rate of the same people and the very large word-of-mouth marketing.
Well, you know, I noticed, you know, quite early that it didn't matter what I did to patients, if they didn't have self-love and self-acceptance and accepting the aging process in a healthy way. I mean, we all want to look good for our age or age gracefully, but there's people, I think, have to do a lot with the marketing and, you know, a lot of Photoshop photos of people like Raquel Welch, Susan Sommer, that a lot of these celebrities that they don't look like themselves without makeup and all the Photoshop that they get. The people of, you know, I never saw my grandma saying, oh, I feel like I look like a witch, I hate myself because I look, or, you know, they need to accept the aging process. That's why I wrote my book. You know, and when patients come here, if I feel that they're not having a healthy relationship with themselves, that there's no self-love, I spend a lot of my time, money trying to buy books like, you know, The Power of Now, New Earth, The Four Agreements, different books that I will give them as tool so they start loving themselves more. And my book, if you want to know what it's about, you have every information that you need to know to age gracefully if it is important to you. But then it turns into a spiritual book about self-love and self-acceptance. Basically, what I want to give to all my patients is a spiritual facelift, right? So I think that's something that I give to my patients, and I'm very conscious about that. I'm in the world of vanity, and I'm dealing with people's fears. Fear of aging, fear of abandonment, fear of not getting somebody else in their life. So I understand that. So people come here to all of us to get alleviated from those fears. And you need to be very sensitive about their needs and not disregard what they're saying to you. And I think a good way is trying to educate them, you know, not only about the aging process, but also plant a seed of self-love, self-acceptance, so they're starting to accept things that we cannot fix anymore, right?
And I think that's great that you do that and that you take the time and that you care, because most doctors these days are in and out. The nurse is prepping you, you say hello, you spend your 15 minutes or so, and you're out the door. How much time does it take for you with each male patient or each patient that you're going to be talking about your spiritual facelift, which, by the way, I think you should trademark. I love it. So how much time do you actually spend with a patient, and do they pay for a consultation?
Yeah, so I mean, I spend as much time as I can. The consultations are free.
Okay.
The all consultations are free. And when they come, they're greeted by my consultant, and then they will watch a video where I talk about the aging phase, because, you know, if I repeat myself constantly all day long,
sounds like you're losing your voice
right.
already.
So, but I still come in, and that gives me enough time to, if by any chance the patient really is trouble, I can have a few extra minutes to, you know, to find out what it is. And I'm very empathic, I'm very sensitive, so I usually know the right words to say to actually or guide them on the right direction. So my consultation, like I said, is primarily educational. I don't like to point out flaws, you know, I just let the patient tell me what they're there, and then after I educate them, I tell them, well, this is what I see, and this is a good plan for you, and then we go from there.
That's great. So you create like a blueprint for their future. So if it's somebody in their 60s or 70s, you create a blueprint of non-invasive procedures that you can offer them, how often would they be coming in, and what would that look like in a plan?
So I'm known, internationally, nationally by being the largest injector of Sculptra aesthetics, right? And in the United States, at one point, maybe still now in the world, by volume. And I love this product, and I was one of these person that did not want to use it because I was a resident when it came out, and I never saw anything great with it. And it was because nobody knew how to use it.
Right.
So for me, my philosophy, the power of Sculptra aesthetics is to preserve or imitate the architecture of the bone. And if I can show you some of my before and after my work, you could see how I can do that. So when the patient comes into my consultation, unless they have a absolute contraindication, not be able to use polylactic acid, I believe that anybody that's 50 plus should be using polylactic acid to imitate or maintain the architecture of the bone. So that's my plan. If you're younger, I can imitate fat with anything. So I tell my patient or my education, after 40, we start looking older, but we don't look elderly. We just look tired to people or to ourselves. Past 50 and beyond, we start looking elderly because we're losing the architecture of the cheekbone. So I'm known for my work with Sculptra aesthetics. I can imitate bone or help preserve the architecture of the bone.
So that's, maybe you want to say it clearly so they understand. So you are the internationally #1 user of Sculptra aesthetics.
Yeah.
And most people might not even know what that is. So if they wanted to look that up, they could find more information on your website?
Yeah. So I create a technique that I call this, I name all my techniques, but this one's precise sculpt with Sculptra aesthetic. And the power of Sculptra aesthetic, in my opinion, and the way I use it is supraperiosum to maintain or fake or imitate the architecture of the bone, because as we get older, we start changing of the bone. We see the changes on the mouth, but the changing of the mouth just makes the mouth look like it has problems. We look elderly, like the elderly version of ourselves, when we lose the cheekbones. Cheekbones is a sign of youth, beauty, and fertility. I would say that's why women with blush can make themselves look better or more useful.
Is that why I'm busy with my blushes?
Because it fakes a cheekbone
Right.
and brings attention to it. So my job is to preserve the architecture of the cheekbone, to maintain the architecture of a youthful face. So in my practice, anybody that's 50 plus, unless they have an absolute contraindication to use polylactic acid, which is Sculptra, they all should be on it. To me, it's a disservice to offer anything else. Yet I can mix and match with other things, but I have to preserve the architecture of the bone for anybody that is 50 plus in order to keep them looking useful.
And how long does that last if somebody comes in and gets it done? When do they come back for another series of it?
The beauty of this technique is once we have the after pictures, you want to call it, the end results. And for most people in my practice with this technique, it takes 1 to 2 sessions. After that, for the rest of the natural life, they will do half a session, which is 1 vial once a year or every 2 years to remain the same on the areas where we're injecting.
And what is that range in price? Because some people are afraid, like, oh, I can't afford him. He's so expensive. He's on Las Olas Boulevard. I don't know if I could afford him. So what's the price range?
I mean, the price range for Sculptra throughout the nature, you could find anything from $600 to $1,000 per vial.
Okay.
But what and I usually don't know my prices because the cosmetic consultant, I actually made a pledge to myself that I will never get out of it for money, so I don't worry about prices. I let the consultant doing that.
You're just a true artist at work.
I just don't want to get out of it for money. But my practice, I don't sell syringes, I don't sell vials of Sculptra. I sell my technique. So there's different tiers for people, some people may need a little bit more than others, so there's different tier. And this tier, it has a set price for it. But, to me, it's the most affordable thing that you can do because it's the one thing that I can see, and again, I've done the most volume for this product, that truly slows down the aging process. I mean, you really maintain the architecture of the bone with it. While with the other products, you can plump, you can lift, but underneath, you disintegrating.
We are with the best of the best over here, and everybody's ready to sign up with you right now. And if they want more information about the sculpture and what you do, can they go to your website?
Yeah, there's plenty of information on my website about the procedure and what it does. There's also videos on YouTube about me.
And your website is, what is your website?
It's ShinoBayDerm.com. So my name is ShinoBayDerm, DERM.com.
That's great.
Can't see it now.
Okay. And we're back.
Well, okay, our connection is weak. So our connection is strong, but the connection on here is weak, unfortunately. So Facebook Live, we got to get you moving quickly, and I'll have to come back in October and interview you again.
Okay.
But I think your book, Be Youthful at Any Age, is great, and I love the fact that you have so much caring about your patients, about how they live their lives, about their well-being, because unfortunately most doctors don't have the time to even spend the time, even if they wanted to, with their patients. So when you book your appointments, do you book them every 30 minutes? I mean, how much time do you actually spend with the patient?
I really don't know how the appointments are booked, but again, I don't look at my schedule either because I don't want to freak out. Okay. There are too many patients. So, but I think we basically book hours appointments pretty much with everyone. I'm trying to keep my practice boutique very small.
That's great.
And sometimes, unfortunately, I run behind, but it's because every patient gets the same amount of time and attention. And sometimes what people don't know is that sometimes I walk in a room and I see a patient with a blank stare, and I say, "What's the matter?" They're coming for the follow-up or Scotland. It had happened to me where they've been diagnosed with terminal cancer, and so of course I'm not going to rush out of that.
No, you can't. In a
I
case
stay
like
there.
that, you have to stay.
So, but usually we do everything we can to keep on track, but sometimes I do fall a little behind, like any of us providers.
Right, absolutely.
But I don't want my practice to turn into a factory, and I want to be able to still have the one-to-one communication, whether it's something spiritual or talking about the next plan for you anti-aging.
No, I think that's all great. And I also noticed that you have a lot of great high-level nurses and estheticians here, and you've integrated the MediSpa business into your dermatology practice really very nicely. How is that working, and how are you cross-selling and upselling and motivating your patients coming in for your injectables and fillers and non-surgical to use the MediSpa services?
I think in our practice, the MediSpa services. I think once the patient is here, they see that there's other things offered on the ad. They usually, as you could see on our advertisements and things like that, we don't advertise too much on that. But I think it's organic, where they ask me about skincare, and I just say, well, I have 3 estheticians here, and they come and they consult with them. We also have a wonderful lady, Rachel, that does eyebrows, and she has her own followers, and they refer among each other, and even myself too. If I see that they can benefit my patient for a hydrofacial, and I say, your skin is looking a little dull, you could get a little hydrofacial. So we do more advertising than advertising.
Right, so you work with your internal database, which is the best thing to do, because they're already here, they already love you, they love the practice, so they might as well stay in one place to do one-stop shopping. Do you give them packages or programs? Do you put deals together? Because everybody wants that added value these days.
I think their packages usually during holidays and things like that. We always do what we can for our patients. That's why sometimes my colleague says, you're seeing that many patients, which I don't think I'm seeing a lot, but you should raise your price even more. But to me, it's like, I came from nothing and very poor. The consultants, they take care of the price ranges and things like that. So their incentive to patients that are loyal to us. So, everybody, when it comes to that, most of our patients are really happy, because we're always trying to listen to what their needs are, and we actually do listen to what our patients' needs and wants are.
And that's great. And do you train your staff to do the same thing? Because you're a good listener. and you have good insights into people. Do you train your staff on listening skills? Because that's a very important skill.
Yeah, I mean, on Fridays we do have meetings. Sometimes I cannot make it because I'm traveling or I need to go somewhere, but most of the time, I was not only about listening or how to handle difficult patients and how to talk to patients and how to upsell, but also I always end up with something spiritual because the tone of the practice starts with me. And everybody needs to be on the same page and be an extension of myself. So most of my girls here are very caring, very loving, with the patients and always trying to do their best to keep the patient happy and, to feel, a lot of time when people come here, they always say that on the service that they feel just great just entering here, the energy. And that's what I want. I want people to speak like that about my practice, that the energy is good, not that the energy is heavy or, bad.
No, you definitely get a good positive feeling in the big open, light, airy entranceway that's very spacious and very well decorated, as your office is, with beautiful artwork. So I'm wondering, do you have one last tip or advice to the MediSpas and to the doctors out there who are looking to expand into the male market? What would be your most important, pearls of wisdom that you can tell them for those starting out or growing or that are having a hard time with their staff or with their marketing? I usually recommend, as a consultant anyway, that you have to keep marketing. Whether it's, you must do social media because we're in a 24/7 world right now, but you have to spend anywhere between 10 and 20% on marketing. Once you are established like yourself, you can go down to 7 or 10%, but you always have to keep yourself out there because there's so much competition.
Correct.
We can't help it. The competition is opening up every single day.
Correct.
Your patients, I am sure, will stay loyal to you, but we all want to gain new patients. So we get a lot of calls. How do we get new patients through the door? And so what would be your advice for our viewers on that?
Well, the advice, understanding, your demographics, like who is your male patient that is seeking for the aesthetic procedure, where usually somebody my age, 48 years old, that the average, they usually make about $100,000 a year. And believe it or not, these male patients are in a relationship. They either have a girlfriend or have a wife. So most of those
None
patients,
of them have both?
Right, I'm both.
Oh, they don't tell you that part.
They don't tell you, but they usually, you're surprised that you think that the single man out there. But these are usually stable men that have a good job and they have a solid relationship.
We're here in Fort Lauderdale, and Dr. Shino Bay has a book, Be Youthful, and you can get it on Amazon, and I can't wait to read it. I want a signed copy, as you would realize, and I know that you have read my book, and I'm really excited about that, and I can't wait to see your review on the Beautifully Profitable book. I do offer my viewers a code, LIVE, on the Beautifully Profitable website, so they can use that as a discount. And so we try to make things more affordable to our followers. So some of the questions that we have for Dr. Shino Bay, board-certified dermatologist in Fort Lauderdale, were around his spiritual thinking, his customer service, his training, his marketing, his staff meetings every Friday. Do all the staff have to come to all the meetings?
Yes.
So it's required. And how long is your meeting?
Usually an hour.
Okay.
An hour, 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay. And so what do you share ideas and you share?
Well, we talk about what has happened in the practice. We have any issues with patients, and then trying to see if there's any problems. We just power and solve it amongst ourselves. And then again, new projections, what we want to do in the future, and then the spiritual part, trying to plant little seeds of spirituality to everybody so they can represent me, in the rooms. With
That's
the
great.
patients.
That's great. And when we were just at the show together at the aesthetic show in Las Vegas, I'm wondering, do you come back from a show like that and bring back a lot of new ideas and new energy for your staff, and have a meeting about what you learned and what overall, maybe in the management sessions, maybe in my talks? So we're here in Fort Lauderdale with Dr. Shino Bay in Las Olas, a board-certified dermatologist, and I'm sorry for our little inconsistencies with our internet today. So we were finishing up with Dr. Shino Bay, the author of Be Youthful, and that's what we all want to be beautiful forever and be youthful for sure. And if there's any questions, you could email us, and we'll be glad to answer them. Dr. Shino Bay will be answering any questions, even if it's not live and you're watching this at any time. And we're talking about the male market. So we're going to end with a little bit of information about the male market, targeting the marketing to the men, being very specific that you have men-specific treatments that you're offering to try to bring the men in. So maybe you want to give some words of advice and some of your pearls.
Yeah, I mean, I think just by knowing what men are looking out there, that what men thinks about or what concerns them is number one, and that's why we see a big increase in 2014 on Botox, 84% increase on male Botox or neurotoxins. So most men, they are bothered by the CrossFit, you know, the mental fat.
I know about that.
And their hair. So if you are going to planning to do some advertising, I think it would be a great idea to do an advertising where you lure them into a special for neurotoxins for the CrossFit, because 80% of most men hate the CrossFit. They don't care about these E11s, they don't care about wrinkles on the forehead, but they're really bothered by CrossFit. So that would be a nice incentive to bring it into the practice. Also, if you're not advertising, you could talk about Kybella for the submental fat, or if you have anything for either hair growth or hair replacement, trying to captivate the audience by advertising and having those keywords that are going to allow them to feel comfortable to get into the practice. Like you said earlier, once the male patient is in the practice, they are a lot more loyal than females. They don't go shop around going from doctor to doctor. They will stay with you no matter what.
Which is great. I mean, we all, we want loyal patients, whether they're females or males. So, I mean, that's great. And, it's interesting because the injectable RF, and you know that I am, they call me the Thermi Queen, but that, and I've had it on my neck. I would consider having it done again. I hear it's less painful than the Kybella, and it's only a one-time, one and done. Yeah. So, I mean, I like that concept. I don't sell equipment, but when I hear about Kybella, sometimes I get nervous that you have to come in for multiple sessions, and it almost reminds me of the years of the mesotherapy, where you had to come in for multiple shots, and it was painful. I tried it for cellulite. But I think that there's a lot of options out there. I think it's a good point for men that you need to start them off slowly, maybe with baby steps, and then from there they come in and say, well, you did such a great job with my crow's feet, now what else can you do for me? And I think by having the loops, like you said, in the rooms, with the hair restoration and the filler and all of the other things you offer for men, it makes them aware of what is out there for them. And so I want to thank you very much for today. You are terrific as always, and I look forward to interviewing you again and having and more talks with you. And all of us to stay and be youthful, and it's on Amazon.com, and it looks like a very exciting book. And I love the fact that he wants us to remain young at any age, because I just had a birthday, so I want to make sure we all stay young. And you can visit Dr. Shino Bay on his website or come into his office in Fort Lauderdale. And thank you for viewing. Next week, Wednesday, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I have an exciting new, interesting person I'm going to be interviewing, and you'll hear more this week about it. So stay tuned to Beautiful Forever University. And we're all about, in my university, about education. I'm very much about educating the consumer, educating the physicians, and as consultants, we want to educate. We don't want to sell. I don't want your people selling. I want them to be educating. That is a very important point for everybody to take home. And they can visit us at beautifulforever.com, or we're posting on Facebook, almost daily. So I look forward to stay tuned, and we'll see you again soon. And I thank you so much. It was terrific. Thank you so much. You're terrific. You're terrific.